Hi, welcome to this new video after a very long time. In this video, I'll be talking about Palkis. Palkis, which are a very important part of Indian culture. Recently, I went to this museum in Mehrangarh Fort, which is in Jodhpur, and there is an entire section dedicated to Palkis. Like these are the few photographs that I clicked there. Now I know you guys are not accustomed to seeing something on YouTube, especially on YouTube, where the narrator is just narrating things with having pictures in the background. But as the case is in many of the museums, you're not simply allowed to videograph something. Instead, if you're really desperate for something, perhaps they might allow you to click few photographs, as I was allowed to click few photographs in this case. So yes, so the very interesting thing that I found about that section was that it was an entire section that was dedicated to palkis. And if you're wondering what palkis are, I think most of you who have clicked on this video already know what a palki is. So basically, whatever you're seeing this on your screen is a depiction of a palki, and this is a real palki placed in the museum. So these are the palkis, and seldom do we find that a museum is hosting an entire section for palkis, which are a crucial part of our culture. So like a basic introduction of palkis, especially what this museum tells you, and I quite not agree with everything what they write here. See, the palkis were popular means of travel for ladies of nobility. Yes, true that. Up to second quarters of 20th century, that is basically till 1950s, it was a popular medium. And all, also men used to travel on special occasions here. But if that is the case, I wonder why is this man sitting here. uh, if it was men who used to travel only on rare occasions, and it was women of nobility, then perhaps a woman should have been showcased here. But as is the case, many of the times we just simply uh, don't think of it in that way of thinking of women or something like that. So I think this is obviously a similar kind of mistake made by the narrator of the museum, who just, I think in all probabilities it is a man, is like seeing the costume and everything looks like a man. But okay, so it's every details is mentioned here. You can just pause the video and read about it. I i'll also tell you in brief about this relevance to Indian culture of palkis. So, if you born in northern India or even in southern India for that matter, even in today you would see relevance of palkis in various means. If there is a pilgrimage, perhaps if there's a get together in a village or something, especially for a religious occasion, you would have seen the idol would have been placed on a palki. And even Nataraja, if you see the iconic Nataraja of the South India, even that for that matter used to be carried in a palki. At least the structure shows the same. And even across Maharashtra and other belts that I personally know of, there is this relevance of palki today. And if you trace back the history of palkis in India, they start with the period of Ramayana and Mahabharata, as in like Ramayana and Mahabharata. The very legends talk about palkis, and they also talk about rats, the chariots as well. The only difference between chariot and palki is that palkis were more of a use for civilian purposes, royalty purposes, whereas chariots were mostly used in warfare. And chariots soon became out of fashion, obviously because the relevance of chariots in warfare reduced, but the relevance of chariots in our culture still continued. I am sure if you are in North India, I'm not very sure about South India, but if you are from North India, you would have seen in weddings even today, you have something like a chariot for groom. I'm not sure if it is for bride or not. Perhaps even then it was not for brides, but even today I don't see it for brides. But yes, definitely for grooms, it is still there. So uh, that is about chariots, so to say. But palkis resemble the same idea of having somebody seated on it. And as you could see here, it's and written, obviously it's for it's I just point it out to you. You can see this elephant written over here. So this was placed on elephant. So if you can imagine elephant over here, and this looks a very plain, simple, plain, not so plain for that matter. There's still minutest of decorations in it, if you see that. But yes, like largely it's very simplistic than others. So perhaps this was not used by kings or any big personality, so to say. Maybe a feud here or there, a person with perhaps a decent, in what today's day we would call a bureaucratic stature, not really of that a minister or someone else. Maybe it looks something like this. So yes, as I was saying to you, that chariots were there even from this palkis. I don't know why I'm calling it chariot now, but yes, this palkis were there since the period of Ramayana, Mahabharata. And even if you see Ibn Battuta, Ibn Battuta mentions of traveling. Ibn Battuta mentions of traveling by this palkis. So even in his Rihala, he has mentioned the same. So the time period that you see is a very significant time period. So this continuity of this culture, and even in today's period, the continuity shows that Palkis are really ingrained in the culture. And obviously, Palkis also reveal this side of culture as well. What is this side of culture? I'm referring to this all idea of parda. This idea of parda, maybe it started very late because all historical evidences and everything, I'm not going into detail of that, but uh, I think generally you would agree that this all parda system and everything is a very late innovation. At least in earlier times we don't see parda. Even women, the figures of women that you see, they're half naked, the upper part of the body is naked. So this idea of parda really came after, where the feudalism really ingrained in our culture, especially the parda you see dominant in Rajput and the uh, Rajasthan side. So see, like this, when I was clicking the picture, I saw it from there. So I think this all textile is from that period itself, because it really looks very old. I'm unsure if it is deliberately made old just for the sake of museum, because in museums as well there's very less transparency, and there's very less documentation and information given after that item. So but yes, this probably, to me at least, looks from that period of 19th century, sorry, of 20th century, like the start of 20th century. So you see through this palkis the parda system, and how women were like kept inside it, and then like they just, wherever they used to wherever their destination was, when they reached that destination, from there they used to go and then again go in a place where there was parda. Even if it was a royal court, there was a very separate and marked area for women, even if they were royal women, to sit out there. And see, this one is quite interesting. So in particularly, if you see this one, this looks quite a bit uh, elaborate in that sense, and there's minutest of details here. You could see flowers. I know the photographs aren't clicked in that better quality, but yes, if you see this lion here, and I found this across the museum, across the paintings as well. So you see this lion, and then you just take a look at the face of lion. uh, isn't there something like abruptness here? I think the whosoever made this, whosoever was the craftsman, he wanted to show this lion's face, but like he was not able to exactly do that. Like there's still this abruptness in this artwork. But obviously I'm not saying that things are supposed to be perfect. Obviously for the time being when it was made, uh, obviously these were not even like, uh, what do I say, but just I'm just pointing it out to you. I found this across the paintings as well. When I make another video of paintings of Rajput period, I'll definitely make sure that I'll tell this angle to you, that how there is some abruptness that I see in this. So now here comes an interesting picture. This is obviously not a picture from that period. This seems to be a picture clicked by museum authorities just to showcase people about how the palkis were used. You see this very idea of having people with same kind of dresses in everything, and to mark them away from the person sitting out there, person sitting inside it. So this clearly this class angle, there's clearly this caste angle associated with it as well, and this cheap labor, or rather I may not be like hesitant to call it even slavery for that matter. So this as well you can see here through this photograph. And then you have this, unlike the other one, this isn't that abrupt. In fact, this is altogether a very structure of lion, and this doesn't look that abrupt. The line is made very plain, unlike the other parts. These parts, if you see, then they're in that plain, but the lion's body looks very plain. But yeah, you can have a look at it, you can pause and see how they are. But and this was also used on elephants. You could see elephant written over here. And you have this one. This is something that everybody has seen, typical thing in very films that are made in Bollywood recently, even the earlier films. Even if you see this recent film Main Wapas Aunga, even in these films you see these kind of palkis being used. So these are obviously the doors, and from the doors you could gaze that this were specifically designed for families and women, so that the outside world would not see them. Perhaps they could see the outside world. The windows aren't, I think there must be some windows from that end, or maybe they would just keep the sides a little open to see the outside world. But yes, they could see the outside world, but the outside world could not see them. Perhaps that was the philosophy. And if this very uh, what do I say, low seated, and this also looks like it was carried on some animal perhaps, or maybe uh, I'm unsure as to what this would indicate. And this one looks my favorite. You see, this one looks very open, there's no hiding in. So it clearly is for somebody who is not ashamed of his identity, as in specifically the gender identity. So his identity, he wants to show to the world how he looks, how his power is, so on and so forth. So it's obviously for people like him that this is. And this last one is like uh, there's glasses, there are mirrors you could see here. And uh, you could see perhaps this place is for someone who used to ride it, who used to ride the elephant, who used to guide the elephant rather. But seeing this umbrella here, like why is this umbrella used for somebody who is just a labor? uh, or maybe this was not for this seat is not for the one who used to ride it, or maybe it is just the umbrella placed here is misplaced. Perhaps the museum authorities found this umbrella maybe somewhere else, and they thought that it was placed here, but it was really placed here for these two seats. Because if you see these two seats, these looks the ones who are for nobility. uh, and if the umbrella is here, the other person does not simply have an umbrella. So perhaps the right positioning should have been here. But yes, as the case may be. uh, so let me just take you to the start. And this entire idea of Palki is very fascinating for me. I'm surely going to read more about it. And if you see these Europeans as well, when they came, they Indianized themselves. They also used this Palkhis, and this one clearly is not a very British one. But yes, I'm sure that the Britishers used Palkhis as well, and their Palkhis were very Europeanized Palkhis for that matter. I am even in their culture, they have some structures similar to that of Palkhis. So this decline of Palkhis, if you see, uh, it was obviously because the modern transport came in, and like you have even in the same museum, in the same city, you have another museum, the Umaid Palace. In that you see a whole lot of a collection of cars that the royal persons carried and had their collections of. So this idea of coming of new public transport and better transport facilities, I think that really reduced it. More than that, there's also end of feudal era, start of a new era, and I think that also created an end to the Palkis for that matter. So the very idea of making this video was to just show that how small things like Palkis and so on and so forth needs to be preserved in India, or in any culture for that matter, how these small things also tell a lot of different things as well. So just simply see this picture. I would end it here, showing that how this everybody is shown in one sided frame. Just the one portrait is shown, the side portrait, um, and that you see in a lot of Rajput paintings as well. Perhaps they liked it that way, or perhaps it is more easier for an artist to make just one side of a face. Even the king is shown in the same manner, and even these structures are shown in the same manner. So you see how like these people are with the same outfits, just this one is with different, this one, I think these and these ones are the same. So, and interestingly, if you see this king is shown with a different color, there's this really fascination of human psychology that it uses to distinguish person of higher authority or person from other humans, just to make him less of a human and more of a divine figure. This king as a divine figure, and there's no coincidence that you see a lot of gods in Hinduism or across the world. You see gods with shown with different color. This one is particularly the favorite one. I won't name the god. You get the indication what I'm talking about. But yes, this fascination of differentiating yourself with the others really stays within our culture, and even that stays today as well. So yes, that is it in this video. I hope that you liked the video. I will make sure that if I get a good response in this video, I'll definitely consider making more such videos like this. Thank you for staying with the end.